this video, we will be going over the market update for January 2022. My name is William Singh. I'm a local real estate agent in the Portland, Oregon area, and let's dive into it. If you find any of this content helpful, it would mean a lot to me to like, subscribe, and comment. It's one of those things where if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me. You can always call, text me at 503-303-0822. I'll make sure to leave my contact in the description below as well. All right, so diving into these things, this is a report that is created by the RMLS every month, and they're always looking backwards. So just something to keep in mind when you are looking at this. Hopefully it's going in the right trends in terms of where we're hoping it to be, but it does something where we are looking in the past. So with this in mind, we're looking at January. We are at 0.8 months of inventory, which is less than a month, which is not fantastic for a lot of buyers because it is putting a lot of pressure on them. I have noticed that there are a lot more situations where there are multiple offer situations. I've seen as high as 15 to even like 16 other offers that you're competing against. So just one of those things to be aware of, that it is still very much a hot market in terms of being a seller. So if you are looking to sell, it is still a good time to be doing that. In terms of the prices that I look at, you can always look at the average price, and that's jumped up. The sales price has jumped up about 14%. This does kind of capture the extremes on both sides, and the extremes on the higher side of the high-end market does kind of push this up quite a bit sometimes. The median kind of tells you a little bit more about what's happening on the middle of the spectrum. So at about 11.3%. So it is slowing down a little bit, but that's still twice as much as our 30 to 50 year average, which is about 5 to 7%. So keep that in mind. Prices are still going up, and if you look at 2021, we really didn't have a time period where we had a lot of inventory, more than a month, or we barely breached that in September, but it's been mostly a month or less for most of 2021. Just to kind of give you a frame of reference, the Portland metro market has historically been closer to 2 to 4 months of inventory. So just something to keep in mind. And then in terms of the average sales price changes, it's good to kind of take a look at the subsections of this. So for example, the Gresham Troutdale has a almost 20% average price increase, and then we have the Aloha Beaverton area, which is at 16.5, the west side of Portland, which is 13.6, and then Lake Oswego at 20, almost 22%. So one of those things where having a good idea of all these smaller markets is good to understand as well in terms of how fast those are appreciating too. Now, we are going to be diving into the active residential listings. So as you can see, we don't have a ton. We're starting off even lower than last year at the beginning or at the same time frame. And then we're looking at the pending sales. They're about the same, so that means that there's still quite a bit there's still a lot of competition. And another thing to note is that the market total, average total market time, it is still lower, so that means, again, we're still in a very competitive situation for buyers. This is great for sellers. If you are ever curious about different strategies to go about to make sure that you can both sell the place and then buy in another place, feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to kind of walk you through that a little bit more. And then with that, we're diving down to the average and median sale price. So this kind of shows like how the sale price has continually gone up. If you look at a longer time period, there are always cycles where real estate will go up and then down. But in general, if you widen that scope quite a bit, you'll see that it's a continual trend up. So just one of those things where, yes, you can wait until the market crashes, quote unquote, but you don't know where the bottom of that market is. You also if you're holding on to real estate for long enough or a long enough period of time, usually it will appreciate and will become an asset in my opinion. So diving into the median sale price, in these areas. I just like to highlight Beaverton, Aloha area, that's at 515. The Hillsborough, Forest Grove is at 493.4. And then we're in Tigard, Tualatin area at this 565. So you're definitely having a little bit of a higher price point. And then you're going to do the West Portland. This is at 623. And then Lake Oswego, Westland still is very high in general. They just have a lot more properties that are at the higher end of the spectrum. So 776. And then Milwaukee is at 560, which is still relatively high comparatively to the west side. And then we're looking at the southeast side of Portland at 440, 484 in the northeast Portland area, and then 474 in the north Portland area, Gresham and Troutdale, Sandy Corbett, Fairview area, that's at 465. So definitely at the lower end of this spectrum in regards to the median sales price. So this is a report. One of the major things that I go over is the Market Action Index. This is provided by First American Title. They have a great way of representing this by the Market Action Index, which shows you whether it's more of a seller's market or more of a buyer's market. Right now, it is starting to move upwards, so we're at 74 for the Portland area, and we have a median list price of about $575. In terms of inventory, we are at 442. So this is still really, really low. And then in terms of this, you can see this market action is still going up. And we'll kind of see how that pans out. But I have a feeling that this year is going to be fairly similar to last year in terms of there's going to be still a lot of competition. Maybe not as much appreciation, but still a lot more competition in terms of buying a home. Beaverton, this is at 94, so this really represents how there are different markets within the Portland metro area, and you might have to kind of set those expectations when you are looking in these different markets. So with Beaverton, we're at 94, so there are 47 homes that are available in the Beaverton area. The median list price is at $649, so basically at $650. So that's still relatively high comparatively to the Portland area, almost 75 grand over. And then we have the Market Action Index. This has been consistently at like the 94 area. I don't really see this again changing very much. And then the amount of price decreases are going up a little bit, but they're not a lot. The prices are still relatively high. Then diving into Hillsborough, so it is a little less competitive here. We're at 86. And the inventory is at 31, so we have 31 single-family homes, and the median price is still around that 650 area. And then the Market Action Index has actually gone down, so that's a benefit. It's funny how you literally just go a little bit further west and it changes dramatically in terms of how much the Market Action Index is. This does also include some other areas. Tigard, we're at about 85 as well. So again, not a lot of inventory here. We have 10. The median list price is a little bit higher. And then we have the Lake Oswego area. Median list price is much, much higher. But again, these are different types of properties. They're much higher class properties. We are at 61. So this makes a lot of sense because of the fact that when you go into these markets that have higher price points, there's less of a demographic that can afford that. So we'll kind of end on Milwaukee. So one of these things where it is very similar to the Tigard area and then also the Hillsborough area. We don't have a lot of inventory here either, so about 31. And then the median list price, though, is significantly lower at $415 comparatively to some of the other areas. If you found any of this content helpful, it would be wonderful if you liked, subscribed, and commented. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to reach out as well. I'll make sure to leave my contact information in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed watching this.